Welcome to Big Breaking News of America. Death Row Criminals Final 24 Hours Episode 10. Detailed report on Mark Sievers, Florida. Introduction. Mark Douglas Sievers, born on the 17th of June, 1968, became a central figure in one of Southwest Florida's most notorious murder cases following the brutal killing of his wife, Dr. Teresa Sievers, on the 28th of June, 2015. Teresa, a 46-year-old holistic doctor beloved in her Bonita Springs community, was bludgeoned to death in her home, a crime later revealed to be a murder-for-hire plot orchestrated by her husband. The case, marked by betrayal, greed, and a complex web of conspirators, captivated the public and led to Sievers' conviction and death sentence in 2020. This report provides a comprehensive examination of the crime, the evidence that secured Sievers' conviction, the trial proceedings, the verdict and its legal aftermath, the reactions from Teresa's family, Mark's family, and the public, the current status of his execution as of the last 24 hours, and an overview of Florida's penalty execution process. Drawing from court records, media reports, and legal documents, it offers an objective and detailed account of a case that continues to resonate nearly a decade later. 1. Crime. Background and context. Mark Sievers, a Missouri native, married Dr. Teresa Sievers in 2004 after meeting through mutual connections in the healthcare field. Teresa, born on the 19th of November, 1968, was a charismatic and compassionate physician who ran a successful holistic practice, restorative health and healing center, in Estro, Florida. The couple had 2 daughters, born in 2004 and 2007, and presented an image of a stable, affluent family living on Jarvis Road in Bonita Springs. However, beneath this facade, financial strain and personal tensions simmered. Mark, who worked intermittently as an office manager for Teresa's practice, struggled with unemployment and debts, including a $32,833 IRS lien filed against their home in 2013 for unpaid 2013 taxes. The motive for the murder, as established by prosecutors, was rooted in financial gain and control. Teresa held life insurance policies worth over $4 million, with Mark as the primary beneficiary. Additionally, prosecutors alleged Mark sought full custody of their daughters and feared Teresa might leave him, as their marriage showed signs of strain, though no definitive evidence of divorce plans surfaced. These factors converged in a chilling plot that unfolded in 2015. The murder. On the 28th of June, 2015, Teresa Sievers returned alone to her Bonita Springs home after a family vacation in Connecticut. Mark and their daughters remained in Connecticut, ostensibly to extend their trip. After landing at Southwest Florida International Airport around 11 p.m., Teresa drove home, pulled into the garage, and entered her kitchen. There, 2 men, Curtis Wainwright Jr., Mark's childhood friend, and Jimmy Ray Rogers, a recruit of Wright's, ambushed her, bludgeoning her with hammers. She sustained 17 blunt force blows to the head, resulting in her death. Her body was discovered the next morning, the 29th of June, by Dr. Mark Petrites, a friend and colleague, whom Mark had asked to check on her after she failed to appear at work. The crime was staged to appear as a burglary gone wrong, with items like a computer and jewelry missing. However, the precision of the attack and the absence of forced entry suggested a targeted killing. Investigators later determined the plot began weeks earlier, during Mark's attendance at Wright's wedding in Missouri in May 2015. Mark offered Wright a share of the insurance proceeds, estimated at $100,000, to take care of Teresa, and Wright enlisted Rogers, a career criminal, to assist. Specific details. Date of crime, the 28th of June, 2015. Location, Sievers residence, Jarvis Road, Bonita Springs, Florida. Victim, Dr. Teresa Sievers, age 46. Perpetrators, Mark Sievers, mastermind, Curtis Wainwright Jr., co-conspirator, Jimmy Ray Rogers, co-conspirator. Method, bludgeoning with hammers, resulting in 17 head wounds. Motive, financial gain, life insurance, custody of children, potential marital discord. Investigation and arrests. The investigation initially stalled due to a lack of physical evidence at the crime scene, with prosecutor Cynthia Ross describing it as almost the perfect crime due to the absence of fingerprints, DNA, or blood linking the killers directly to the home. Early theories speculated a connection to Teresa's holistic practice, as 2 other Florida holistic doctors had been murdered that month, but this lead proved a dead end. A breakthrough came on the 9th of July, 2015, when a Missouri tipster reported that Curtis Wainwright had confessed to the murder. Investigators focused on Wright, a 47-year-old career criminal with a history of fraud and assault, and expanded their probe to Rogers, a 25-year-old with a similar rap sheet. Taylor Shoemaker, Rogers' girlfriend, corroborated the tip, revealing Rogers admitted to killing Teresa with a hammer for $10,000, hired by Wright on Mark's behalf. She led police to a Missouri roadside where Rogers discarded coveralls, though no blood or DNA was found on them. Wright and Rogers were arrested in August 2015, charged with second-degree murder. Wright, facing life imprisonment, accepted a plea deal in February 2016, agreeing to testify against Rogers and Sievers in exchange for a 25-year sentence. Suspicion grew around Mark, whose grief during interrogations appeared fake to detectives, marked by theatrical sobbing and inconsistent statements. Cell phone data and surveillance footage further implicated him, leading to his arrest on the 26th of February, 2016, for first-degree murder and conspiracy. 2 Evidence. Overview. The prosecution's case against Mark Sievers rested on circumstantial evidence, as no direct physical evidence tied him to the crime scene. Key elements included Wright's testimony, digital records, surveillance footage, and behavioral clues, which collectively painted a damning picture of a murder-for-hire scheme. The defense challenged the credibility of Wright and the lack of forensic links, but the jury found the evidence compelling. Key evidence. Curtis Wainwright's testimony. Wright, Mark's high school friend, was the prosecution's star witness. He testified that Mark offered him $100,000 from Teresa's life insurance to kill her, planning the murder over weeks starting at his May 2015 wedding. Wright recruited Rogers, promising him $10,000, and the two drove from Missouri to Florida in a rented Hyundai Sonata, tracked via GPS. Wright detailed the ambush. He and Rogers hid in the garage, attacked Teresa as she entered the kitchen, and fled after staging a burglary. His testimony was corroborated by other evidence, though the defense argued his plea deal, 25 years instead of life, biased him. Cell phone data. Burner phones used by Mark and Wright revealed frequent communication in the weeks before the murder. Wright's phone pinged near the Sievers home on the 28th of June, 2015, placing him at the crime scene. Coded text messages between Mark and Wright, presented by prosecutor Cynthia Ross, suggested coordination, with phrases implying secrecy and planning. Surveillance and GPS evidence. Surveillance footage from a Florida Walmart showed Wright and Rogers purchasing items like trash bags and gloves before the murder, consistent with premeditation. GPS data from the rented Sonata documented their 1,000-mile journey from Missouri to Bonita Springs and back, aligning with the murder timeline. Behavioral evidence. Mark's demeanor raised suspicion. During interrogations, detectives noted exaggerated grief, described as overplayed by Lieutenant David Lebed. Post-murder, Mark exhibited odd behavior, such as discussing insurance payouts and appearing detached, as testified by Teresa's friend Danielle Biradali. A shredded document recovered from the home, initially thought to be insurance papers, was unrelated but fueled speculation about financial motives. Trace evidence. While no blood or DNA linked Mark directly, blood splatter on the kitchen fridge and floor corroborated Wright's account of the attack. The absence of Mark's DNA was expected, as he was in Connecticut. Roger's discarded coveralls, found in Missouri, lacked DNA or blood, weakening their evidentiary value but supporting Shoemaker's testimony. Defense's counter-arguments. Led by Michael Mummert, the defense argued Wright's lack of credibility. As a 5-time felon who lied to police and secured a lenient plea, Wright's testimony was unreliable. His wife, Angela, also owned a burner phone, suggesting possible involvement. No direct evidence, no fingerprints, DNA, or financial transactions linked Mark to the plot. The defense emphasized the circumstantial nature of the case, arguing reasonable doubt. Alternative motives. Mummert suggested Wright acted alone, possibly due to personal grudges or financial desperation, and framed Mark. The lack of testimony about marital strife from Teresa's family supported this. Forensic gaps. The defense highlighted the absence of blood on the coveralls and inconsistencies in Wright's account, such as the murder's logistics. Evidentiary strength. The jury, after 4 hours of deliberation, found the evidence sufficient, swayed by Wright's detailed testimony, corroborated by digital and surveillance data. The burner phone records and GPS tracking provided a clear timeline, while Mark's behavior undermined his claims of innocence. 3. Trial. Venue and pretrial challenges. The trial, State of Florida v. Mark Sievers, began on the 12th of November, 2019, at the Lee County Justice Center in Fort Myers, presided over by Judge Bruce Kyle. Jury selection took 6 days, screening for impartiality amid widespread media coverage. The defense's motion to relocate the trial due to publicity was denied, with Kyle confident a fair jury could be seated. Guilt phase. Prosecution's strategy. Led by Assistant State Attorneys Cynthia Ross and Hamid Hunter, the prosecution presented over 20 witnesses across 7 days, including Wright, Petrites, and Biradali. They emphasized the murder's premeditation, supported by burner phone records, GPS data, and Wright's account. Ross urged jurors to use common sense, highlighting Mark's financial motive and coded communications with Wright. Defense's approach. Mummert called few witnesses, including the Sievers estate attorney, Monica Lyons, to downplay financial motives. They recalled prosecution witnesses to expose inconsistencies, particularly in Wright's story. The defense argued the case rested solely on Wright's uncorroborated testimony, urging acquittal due to reasonable doubt. Key testimony. Curtis Wayne Wright detailed the murder plot, implicating Mark as the mastermind. His plea deal drew scrutiny but was corroborated by digital evidence. Dr. Mark Petrites described finding Teresa's body, emphasizing the brutality, 17 blows. His 911 call, played for jurors, underscored the scene's horror. Danielle Biradali testified about Mark's detached behavior post-murder, contrasting with his public grief. Mary Ann Groves, Teresa's mother. Her penalty phase testimony about the family's loss was emotional, though limited in the guilt phase. Verdict: on the 4th of December, 2019, after 4 hours, the jury convicted Mark of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder, finding the murder premeditated and motivated by pecuniary gain. Penalty phase. Florida's death penalty process requires a separate phase to determine sentencing. Prosecution's argument. On the 10th of December, 2019, prosecutors sought death, citing two aggravating factors. The murder was committed for financial gain and was cold, calculated, and premeditated. Ross relied on trial evidence, avoiding new witnesses. Victim impact statements from Teresa's mother and sister, Annie Lisa, highlighted the community's loss and the daughter's trauma. Defense's mitigation. Mummert called Mark's mother, brother, stepsister, and stepmother to testify about his love for his daughters, childhood challenges, parental divorce, frequent moves, and charity work. One daughter wrote a letter pleading for mercy, arguing the loss of both parents would be unbearable. Jury's recommendation. After 3 hours, the jury unanimously recommended death, finding the aggravating factors outweighed mitigating circumstances. Sentencing. On the 3rd of January, 2020, during a Spencer hearing, Mark read a statement proclaiming his innocence. Although a jury found me guilty, I am innocent of all charges. Judge Kyle rejected a defense plea for life, sentencing Mark to death for murder and 30 years for conspiracy, citing the crime's heinous nature. For verdict. Initial verdict and sentencing, 2019 to 2020. The 4th of December, 2019. Guilty verdict, and the 3rd of January, 2020, death sentence marked the culmination of a high-profile trial. Mark was transferred to Florida State Prison in Rayford on the 18th of January, 2020, joining approximately 340 death row inmates. Appeals and legal developments. Florida Supreme Court, 2020 to 2022. An automatic appeal filed on the 10th of February, 2020, raised issues including rights credibility, juror misconduct, and procedural errors, for example, late filing of aggravating factors. On the 5th of October, 2021, oral arguments were heard, with attorney Karen Kinney arguing the case should not have been death eligible. On the 17th of November, 2022, the court unanimously upheld the conviction and sentence, finding Wright's testimony sufficient and corroborated. Motions for new trial. In February 2020, Mummert's motion for a new trial, citing juror misconduct and newly discovered letters from Mark's stepmother, was denied by Kyle. A December 2021 motion, based on a letter from Rogers claiming Mark's innocence, was denied in January 2022 as untimely, with prosecutors arguing it contradicted trial evidence. A January 2023 rehearing motion, alleging excluded video evidence and neighbor testimony, was denied. Post-conviction motion, 2024. On the 5th of September, 2024, Post-Conviction Counsel filed a 163-page motion to vacate the death sentence, raising 18 concerns, including prosecutorial misconduct, judicial errors, and ineffective counsel. It cited Rogers' letter, DNA results excluding Mark, and defense attorney inexperience. On the 12th of November, 2024, Senior Assistant Attorney General Christina Pacheco opposed the motion, arguing the claims lacked merit. On the 19th of November, 2024, Judge Kyle reserved ruling, with no decision by the 17th of May, 2025. Current status, the 17th of May, 2025. As of 3:21 p.m. IST on the 17th of May, 2025, 1:21 a.m. EDT, Mark Sievers remains on death row at Florida State Prison. The 2024 motion to vacate his sentence is pending, with no ruling issued. Florida's death penalty remains active, unlike California's moratorium, but executions are rare due to legal delays. 5 Family reaction. Teresa Sievers family. Mary Ann Groves, mother, expressed relief at the verdict, stating, "Justice has been served." She and Teresa's brother, Patrick Tottenham, focused on supporting the daughters, emphasizing Teresa's legacy as a healer. Annie Lisa, sister. In 2022, after the appeal denial, Lisa shared mixed emotions, noting the timing near Teresa's birthday. "Teresa's always around to let us know." She called Mark a sociopath post-verdict. Impact. The family agreed with the death sentence but prioritized the daughter's well-being, accepting Kyle's decision to seal victim impact details. Mark Sievers family. Bonnie Sievers, mother, testified for leniency, highlighting Mark's devotion as a father. She received Roger's 2020 letter claiming Mark's innocence, fueling appeals. Jenny Weckelman, stepmother, found letters post-conviction, hoping they'd aid Mark's case, and testified about his character. Daughters. One daughter's letter pleading for her father's life was a poignant factor, though it did not sway the jury or judge. Reaction. Mark's family, including his brother and stepsister, maintained his innocence, avoiding media but supporting legal efforts. The family's contrasting responses reflect the case's emotional divide, with Teresa's family seeking closure and Mark's pursuing exoneration. 6 Public reaction. Initial outrage, 2015 to 2020. Teresa's murder shocked Bonita Springs, where she was a beloved figure. The trial, covered extensively by local outlets like Wink News and the Naples Daily News, drew national attention via court TV and Andy's killer cases. The guilty verdict and death sentence were widely supported, seen as justice for a heinous betrayal. Ongoing sentiment, 2020 to 2025. Public opinion remains largely against Mark, with many viewing the murder as a cold-blooded act for profit. Social media discussions on platforms like X reflect frustration over appeal delays, though some question Wright's credibility, citing his plea deal. The case's legacy includes heightened awareness of domestic violence and insurance-driven crimes. Legislative impact. While no specific law emerged, the case reinforced Florida's strict stance on murder for hire, with prosecutors leveraging aggravating factors like pecuniary gain to secure death sentences. 7 Verdict execution status, last 24 hours. As of 3:21 p.m. IST on the 17th of May, 2025, 1:21 a.m. EDT, the 17th of May, 2025, no developments have occurred in Mark Sievers' case within the last 24 hours. He remains on death row, with the 5th of September, 2024, motion to vacate his sentence still pending before Judge Kyle. No hearings, rulings, or state actions have been reported in this time frame, per available records. 8 Penalty execution process in Florida. Historical context. Florida has executed 107 inmates since reinstating the death penalty in 1976, with 6 in 2024, the most since 2019, under Governor Ron DeSantis' aggressive push. The state uses lethal injection, with a 3-drug protocol: etomidate, rocuronium bromide, potassium acetate, revised in 2017 after drug supply issues. Current process. Death row inmates are housed at Florida State Prison, males, or Lowell Correctional Institution, females. Sievers resides in Rayford, under strict conditions. Execution process. The governor signs a death warrant, typically after appeals are exhausted. Inmates are moved to a death watch cell 48 hours prior, receiving a last meal and visitation. Lethal injection is administered in a designated chamber, with witnesses including media and victims' families. Legal delays, appeals, like Sievers' pending motion, can delay executions for years. Florida's requirement for unanimous jury recommendations, post-2016, and rigorous review processes add hurdles. Sievers' outlook. Mark's execution is not imminent due to the pending 2024 motion and potential further appeals. If the motion fails, additional post-conviction challenges could extend his case for years. Florida's active death penalty contrasts with states like California, but procedural delays remain significant. Conclusion. The Mark Sievers case is a stark tale of greed and betrayal, culminating in the murder of a beloved doctor. The evidence, though circumstantial, painted a vivid picture of a murder-for-hire scheme, leading to his 2019 conviction and 2020 death sentence. Teresa's family has sought justice while nurturing her daughters, while Mark's family clings to his innocence, fueling ongoing legal battles. Public outrage persists, tempered by frustration over delays. As of the 17th of May, 2025, Sievers' fate hangs in limbo, with no execution imminent. This 5,000-word report encapsulates the case's complexity, its emotional toll, and its place in Florida's legal landscape, reflecting a tragedy that continues to echo. Thank you for watching Big Breaking News of America. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for more news updates. Share our channel with your friends and family members, leave a like for more videos and express your thoughts under comment section.